The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality restricted from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man.
Hey everybody, and welcome. My name is Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. We have a special guest here today. Christopher's here to talk about some Orgonites and some Tesla coils. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, good. Just another day in paradise. Well, thank you for inviting me on to share about the Orgonites and then how I'm using these PEMF devices. I thank you very much, Nathan.
Oh, absolutely. People always love to hear about this stuff, man. It's interesting what you're doing with it. So let me pull up what you got going on here, and you can go ahead and start us off.
All right. Oh, well, we'll start off. I know people have already seen a couple of my shows, but for people that haven't seen, I'll start off with my first prototype. Let me get this up here, right here. That's it. So this is technically it's a Bluetooth Tesla coil, and then with an Orgonite pyramid geometry on the top. And then it has the bulb, which is the plasma part on the top. So that's the first prototype that I went to and started to build this device with. And let me see what I have here.
Now, hold on real quick before we go any further. Just describe how everybody. So there's a needle that comes up in the Tesla coil, right?
Yeah, there's a wrapped quartz crystal that connects to the arc needle of the coil itself to transfer the frequency through the Orgonite up into the bulb. And then this one, the original, has the bulb glued to the top. And then I've made other prototypes now to where I put neodymium magnets on the top in like the second phase of these, to where I'm able to take the bulb off and on and then put other things on the top of it as to use like for an arc needle. So, yeah.
Okay, so the Orgonites are in layers. So do you have anything here, some copper, some gold maybe, some other materials?
The top layer, normally I do the top layer and I leave the crystal out. Like I said, this is a prototype. But you'll be able to see the quartz crystal on the top wrapped wire. And then the next layer would be the metal layers. That would be copper, say like copper, aluminum, brass. There's many different metals you can mix in there. It's into infinity. You can mix and match whatever metals. But those are the main metals because they're inexpensive. They're easy to get a hold of. You can make them yourself also if you wanted to take a piece of scrap metal and just drill shavings, and then you can use that yourself. And then the next layer after the metal layer is the Orgonite layer with different crystals and gemstones mixed in with that to give that extra added frequencies. Hence a multi-wave oscillator is what this is going for here. Yeah, and then different layers. You have different layers. You'll go back and forth with the metals and the Orgonite materials. But those are the basic layers, the metal layer, the Orgonite layer, and then the other ones you'll have, you can also I place magnets inside there in different geometric forms and whatnot, stuff like that. Whatever to anybody's imagination that they want to add into here, feel free to do it. This is just an example of how I did it and whatnot.
So do you add coils, lights, anything like that in some of these?
The main part is the bulb on the outside for the lights, and then and then the other one on the other different geometric patterns, I've used neons. I've added neons to that just to give it an extra, want to say, noble gas for a different frequency. So it gives it other frequencies. And the bulbs right here are just simple ceiling fan bulbs. And this can be customized also if you're a glass blower or know a glass blower, or you want to become a glass blower. You can you can get into that and go even deeper, and then blow your own blow your own glass and add your own what would I say, metals or whatnot, but mainly the noble gases, to add the different noble gases if you want to put that inside of there. It's just an idea. I do know a glass blower, but I haven't contacted them yet. But either way,
Very cool.
It's just an idea. But that's that, and let's see what else I have here. This is how I wanted to add extra accessories to it, and it goes by through the example I'm going to use here is the multi-wave oscillator disc from George Lakowski. And the way he's used it with the coil, let me give a better view, to where they have these coils and concentric rings as antennas hooked to the coil itself. And then I'm going to show you later as we get into it, the coils and the way I'm using these coils and how I've introduced them into it to be able to use with the PEMF device to broadcast out frequencies. Instead of what they do is, see how they have him sitting in the middle in between it, and you have a coil, you have the coils, and then you have, which is technically an antenna, the way they have their rings to where they're sitting in between it, getting the energy in between it. And then what I've done is gone small. I'm just using a smaller version of that multi-wave oscillator from George Lakowski's discs, and I've placed them onto which I'll get to the next one. Actually, I'll bring it up right now. This is the way I've done it, to where you can attach and plug into the wall or plug into your computer, and it goes with it, to where you'll be able to broadcast the frequencies out of this device. And then you can place them on each side of the room and sit in between them, kind of like that. So now you're getting the sound frequencies. This is what you're getting out of this, transferring from the PEMF device in through the electrical wires. So when you fire this up, you're getting the frequencies, the multi-wave frequencies, which I'll show later. You have a video of that we can show on the actual spectrum analyzer. We'll pull that up, and let's see what we have. So that's how I'm using those. And now I'm going to use an example here real quick, Nathan, as to when you place two of those together. Say you're just an example, you're placing one coil and another coil here. Double slit experiment. Just an example, as you see the frequency sound waves. This is, of course, is light waves on this, but it's pretty much technically the same with electromagnetic waves, from my understanding and my research. And so imagine this being the coil and then this being the coil here, to where you fire up two coils, and then you're pulsing the frequency out of each coil, and then their interference, and you're having the waveforms match and meet out as they go out. So, but imagine these now pointing at yourself, where you can point one at each other, and then you're pointing it. So you're pointing all these frequencies and directing them through these devices is what I want to use an example. And then here it is here with I have the coil on the side, and then what I've done is placed the Lakowski disc on the fan spinning, and then I placed it on a used, this is just a broken light, and I repurposed it to be able to pulse these frequencies, custom frequencies, out of the coil, and then out and direct these energies out to wherever I want to direct them to with this. Is my purpose of it, and how to use it, and how I'm using this device. Let's see what else we have here.
So real quick, in that, what is it called? The MHT or MH? What do they call that thing? The one with the two antennas on it.
The Lakowski discs.
Yeah.
Yeah, the George Lukowski discs. They're disc antennas.
Okay.
I'll pull it back up.
Yeah.
This one. Yep.
So I don't have the actual antennas, but I'll just let you know I built two Tesla coils, and then between each other, I was getting the beat frequency because you'd put one at say 250 and then the other one at 240. And what would happen is the wavelengths wouldn't line up. So you look at your oscilloscope and they'd be close to each other, right? So when they were close but not aligned, they were putting out a beat frequency to each other. And then you could put light bulbs in the center and you'd see the black part of the light come on and then individual balls in each one of them. And it was showing you the wavelength of the beat itself, like this. So I was just wondering, when you did your fans and they have this on the ends of them, did you look for that in particular when you built them?
I haven't looked for that yet, but what I'm doing to see that, you want to be able to see the wave patterns. Is that what you're trying to explain? You want to see the invisible. You want to see the waves coming out of it. Is that what you're trying with, like you do with the oscilloscope, right?
Yeah, because the beat frequency is a third part to the thing. You get the frequency, the resonance frequency of one coil, resonance frequency of the other coil, and then an amplification through the beat frequency. And the beat frequency is why you sit in the center.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, that's correct. Yep. You want to sit and get that beat frequency, or what they say. There's lots of other words for it that they'll use. One is the negative green, or the null zones, or that negative energy. To my knowledge, is what, like I said, different people from different perspectives will call it something different. Is what I know. But yeah, that technically it's pretty much the same as what you're explaining too. Yeah.
Very cool. You want me to pull up that video for you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, since we're talking about that and the frequencies of the spectroid one here, yeah. This one is with it on first, and then it has a wave on the spectroid. You can see the wave waterfall. Now, when it was first on, you can see the lines and the different frequencies, the multi-wave frequencies on there being broadcast. There's the lines again, turning it back on. You see in the waterfall, then the lines, and then also you can see it in the spikes. In the spikes, since it's not zoomed in too good, I can do other ones where it'll show that better on the top, to where you can see each frequency, and see now it's turned off again, and then you don't see those lines in there. It's sound also, but at the same time, it is electromagnetic frequency airwaves going through the airwaves, also broadcasting through that, and that right to me is proof of it. And so, that's why I wanted to display the spectroid analyzer, on that, to do that. Yeah.
I was going to say my 3D printer was doing this. So you ever hear the alien sound from your 3D printer? Like it would go, right? And you're like, what the heck's going on? It's making weird sound.
Noise.
Yeah, so when the aluminum gets in resonance with the motors themselves, it starts to make sound. So they take devices all the time to dampen the sounds in your 3D printers. They used to in the Ender series printers. Now they just do it normally. But you would get the alien sounds from the printers, which is so cool. But I used a spectrum analyzer just like this to find the peaks in it to see which ones were doing it. So every time that it did the circles on the 3D printer is when I get it. You know what I mean? When you get the multiple things in there to tell it where to go, and the dual motors were working at the same time to turn it. So that's when I would get it, and they would be in resonance with each other. It was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, they're using these tools, you can see what make the visible invisible, or whatnot. Did I say that backwards? make the invisible visible. There
you go.
Yeah. This is one way to do it. Like I said, but you're seeing sound, but sound and light, they're all frequencies, and they're all interacting with each other, bouncing around us all the time with this. With our routers that are on, and the stuff coming off of our screens right now in our face, all these are all frequencies, you know, and they're all doing something to us, either negative or positive, to my understanding. And like the blue light, there's a bunch of research done on the blue light coming off of the screens, which is a frequency that will damage your eyes and have, you know, macular degeneration and stuff like that. So that's why one reason I have blue blockers, to block that certain spectrum of light.
Oh, gotcha.
And I did that, changed that. It changed a lot of things, and I had I would have insomnia because of that. The dopamine, they said something about the dopamine levels. You get the dopamine fix coming out of our screens when we're clicking on the screens and looking at the screens all the time. Anyway, that's just from another, you know, rabbit hole going down other research. It's all similar. It's all frequencies to me. Yeah.
Cool. Put this back up there for you so you can get to your next one.
Yeah. Let me go with the next one that goes with this. It's just an example in some of the statements made in this, since it is the works of Nikola Tesla and George Lakowski. And I'm going to put it on the screen so people can go back and read it here. But it technically shows the work of George Lakowski and Tesla together back in the 1930s. And it has to do with the living cells function as a teeny radio transmitters and receivers, and emitting and responding to electromagnetic frequencies. He believed disease arises from cellular oscillation imbalance, and that exposing the body to a broad spectrum of radio frequencies could restore the harmony, strengthen the healthy cells, and suppress pathogens. So this is the work that's already been done by Tesla and Lakowski, that their studies have been done, which anybody can go and do the research like I have on this. This is just an example of where to look in case anybody else is interested in doing this and using it, this tech like I'm doing, so they can study for themselves and learn and be able to build things. And I encourage everybody to go and do their own research, of course. But this has everything to do with the biogeometry and whatnot, and the frequencies and the cells and everything else. So that's that one. We can go back and read it. Like I said, anybody can pause it and read it, and I'll go to the next one here. And this one is on the Lakowski disc antennas. Claim to broadcast scalar waves and harmonic frequencies, just as we just displayed inside the spectrum analyzer with the disc spinning and running. And like I said, on the spinning part of it, you don't have to have them really spinning, but this was an idea that I want to give credit to another doctor that I'm friends with. His name is Kelly Edom. He's written a bunch of books and stuff on certain stuff like this, but he came up with the idea, and I want to give him credit for actually the use of spinning the Lakowski disc and putting them on fans to use them to broadcast the frequencies out that way. So good shout out to him, and give him credit for that idea that I'm incorporating in my builds. That's that. So we have the Lakowski discs, and they often based on harmonic nine ratios and the golden ratio to capture and amplify the electromagnetic energy that's being pulsed either through the wires or the atmosphere here that's right in front of us, which other words, you know, they'll call ether or whatnot. That's just another name for it. So you have the Lakowski discs. And these are technically antennas that broadcast the frequencies out from whatever your device's PMF is pulsing out, whether you want to do custom or just set it manually and pulse the low frequencies out. Let me see, there's another one here. And this shows the scalar part of it. When you're putting two, I'm just using this example, just a little diagram when you're placing two. And it goes back to what we showed earlier on the frequency waves coming out, like the double slit experiment, the way they're intersecting and canceling out in the null zones and whatnot. So when you're putting two of these, when you put two coils together, and then this talks about bifiller coil setup, which that's the ones I'm using that are Bluetooth compatible, to where they're by fillers. When you set up two of them and connect far ends together, say like I have it right now connected, one on each side of my home. I have one connecting on this side, and one is connecting. I just happen to have a water heater on the other side of the house, so that's pulsing frequencies now into the water heater and that electrical side into the back into the ground or wherever, however far, depending on how much you have this turned up on the frequency and the power level. But it does not need to be turned up at a very high level, from my knowledge and from my experience, and then also my experiments that I've done, because my wife can hear it in her Wi-Fi headset. She can hear the ticking, like when I call it the woodpecker from Thomas Beard and stuff, the Russian woodpecker. You can almost compare it to that. Anyway, so the scalar waves is the where I see it only means scaled. So where you're having two of something, you're scaling it now to another level. When they say scalar, that is how I learned how to do it. Everybody will say and have their own perspective on what scalar and scalar this and that. But all I see is, to simplify it, you just scalar is scaled. To me, to simplify things, that's how I've done it in my own mind. If not, that's correct to me anyway, from my perspective. So yeah, you have the dual Tesla coils resonance system, using two coils now. So that's where I'm at in my stage now. I started out with just the one single coil. So now I've leveled up to little bigger coils too, so they can handle higher frequencies, which is, it's not necessary, but just to handle that so it doesn't burn it. I burned up a couple of smaller coils. So now I'm on to the two with the scalar, and then pulsing frequencies out that way. And then I'm still experimenting with it now to be able to give feedback on it, proper feedback and stuff, to doing all the right tests, and then hopefully have somebody else also, like you guys, that I've sent Nathan and Bernie some coils to where you guys can do also experiments, which that's probably the best thing to do. That way, it's replicable. When somebody does an experiment and then you're doing it, and to have the same results, and to see what's the truth of the matter of what we're seeing with these frequencies and everything, and what we're doing with them. Anyway, let me see if I have another one here to show. That one, that's the two discs together. I already showed that one. That we have that, and we've seen that one. This is the other one that I have on the other side of the house that I was talking about. So now I have one behind me that's connected. This one's pulsing the frequency on the lowest level right now. It's not connected, so I don't know what frequency it's playing. I just have it set on the lowest frequency. And then this one I have on the other side of the house, connected to the electrical, and then connected to where it's sitting right next to the copper line. And then these electrical lines are going to the box, also connected to the box. So the water heater is actually getting pulsed electromagnetic frequencies into it through that on the low, and it's just sitting there on a low scale. So I have now two of them pulsing right now on each side of the home. So in between my house, I guess that's where I need to go find and do some experiments and see if I'm how I'm affecting other stuff in the middle of my house or whatnot, lighting bulbs up, or maybe I'm even lighting my neighbor's stuff up, and I have no clue. I don't know. Anyway, whatever pulse frequencies I'm pulsing out of this, they're probably getting it too, because it's going out of my miner also. So it's going out in the like a field outside of my home is the way I picture it in my mind. And I can probably do all the tests. Like I said, that's what I'm working on, doing the tests to show make the invisible visible. To see these frequency waves.
Before we go on to the next one, let me show the video on that one.
Yeah. Go for it.
Because that coil itself is really beautiful.
That one is the Flower of Life one, which is another part of the geometry that I liked. That I really liked that one. That was the form that just had. I I taught my mother how to make these Orgonites. At she was about in her 80s. I taught her a few years back how to make the Orgonites before I got into doing this and building these devices. She did a really beautiful job of. She's built the most beautiful Orgonites I've ever seen. Have but she builds them now, and I built this for her, and she has. I want to say she has this device, one of these with the original pyramids, running
Mm-hmm.
on her countertop 24/7 for the past year and a half, and I think she might. No, hers didn't burn up. Hers is still running 24 hours a day, and then she'll change the frequencies. I'll have her change certain frequencies on it, but it's sitting right on top of her granite countertop, and it's still going. Yeah, 24/7. So
Yeah.
I'm saying if I have one here in my home, and my miner is connected in talking and frequencies, talking to other miners that are communicating around my house, and then she has one. Say I'm at the one part of the state, and she's up there in another part of the state. This is scalar right here. So you're doing almost the same, technically the same thing Nexrads are doing, of how they're working with their radar stuff and pulsing frequencies out and back and getting back. To my knowledge, it's kind of just using that as something to compare to. Even
Gotcha.
though this is a small scale, I think they're still powerful. I think they still have pretty good power to them. You can scale, like I said, you could scale this up. Bigger coils, bigger coils, and bigger pyramids, bigger everything. This is just the smallest scale, just the start of what that here. Here's another one, real here, Nathan. This is one where I did more geometry on and added the geometric forms to it. See if I can get a better. That's a better. So I have the flower of life one in the back, and then I did a cube, and I did a Merkaba, and I did a diamond, and then I have a couple of cone ones here, which I did some experiments with, where I placed a donut in a vacuum and put that on there to see how the effect would be of that. That was very interesting, just to see as a visual. Anyway, I haven't posted the videos of that. I think I might have them somewhere. I'm posting them little by little. So then you have the sphere, and then they're all organized. All that has all the metals in it, but the main thing is the wrapped copper, the wrapped crystal, quartz crystal wrapped in copper that connects to the needle, which I'm going to show in how-to videos. I'm already working on those.
Can you zoom in on that one?
Huh?
Can you zoom in on that corner right there?
Which one? The left?
Yeah, you see that crystal at?
Yeah, there.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
How's that? Yeah,
That's perfect.
I could see the wrapped crystal in the top, and then I have a neodymium magnet that's poured in there on the top of it, and then you just attach the neodymiums to whatever bulb you want to do, or there's even I want to say even light bulbs that are burned out work because they still have the filament inside them.
Mm-hmm.
And these normally, from my research, you have the metals in there, and then they either put a little bit of, they're either on a vacuum, or they zap a little bit of argon, if I'm not mistaken, in there, and that's what keeps the filaments, for when they're building the light bulbs, it keeps the filaments longer from burning up when they put the little noble gas or the vacuum on it. So that's why I'm using it for the metal filament inside, and then that's the plasma part. When it gives that ignition through what I call the radio lobe is the crystal, the radio part, the piezo part of it, which is going to transfer out. And then by adding that magnet there, I don't know, that just to attach the bulb to it. And then you can also attach whatever else you want. If you want to put a screw on the top of there, a copper screw or some other stuff to do other experiments, you can even use it like that and connect stuff to that. But the main thing here is the wire and being able to connect your bulb with the plasma part of it. That's the plasma part. You don't have to have that on there, but it is a functional part of it, I believe, the plasma. So Yeah, that's that there. With the geometry, I have a couple more that I'm going to do. The dodecahedron is coming. I have some other forms that I'm going to do so I can do the experiments with that too.
Is that a Merkaba? Oh, it's to the right.
Yeah, that's the Merkaba. But I don't like the way this one is done. I don't think it's a true Merkaba. The way it is, if you look at it, it's kind of square. So, but that's the form that they sold. I got through on Amazon. I just happened to get it on Amazon. But it does have that. But if you really look at it, it doesn't. The Merkaba shape of it, it's off. I believe it's not a true. The way the pyramid is connected on it, it's not true.
Okay,
So, but it is technically the Merkaba shape.
gotcha.
You know,
I got a question
the
for you.
Merkaba moves in and it pulses in and out and it
Mhm.
pulses back and forth. This is like this. I want to explain is like the one where it's just pulsed in one section. It's not pulsed into the other.
Okay,
If that makes any sense. Yeah.
I gotcha. I got a question for you. Ulysses was asking, do you have a web page?
I have everything posted on Crypto Builders Keep Ulysses on YouTube. These I have posted on there, and then I do have it on Minds.com, CBK Wahoo, if that helps. But YouTube is the best in my because I have these displayed with some videos of them running, and then if anybody wanted to any questions that anybody had about them, and then I'm also making videos on each little step on how I'm building these. So if somebody wants to build them, they can go and build them themselves, free source. There's no patents or any of that kind of stuff on there. Yeah, that's fine. The YouTube, yeah.
I went ahead and put your link in the chat.
Yeah, that's fine, Nathan. Appreciate it. Yeah, like I said, my goal is to here's another one here. My goal is to be able to show how I use these and how other people can use them, and you can use them for many different use cases. To being able to pulse, you want to pulse custom frequencies out of a Bluetooth coil, and the one app I'm using, this one here is the display I'll show, is the bell saucer shape. And I had put some, this one, of course, the bulb is off of it right now, and I was doing experiments with it. So I put some electrolysis water on the top of there to see how it would react, and it did a nice little burn with the color. See if I can do that. See the way the color is burned off of the top of it. That's the electrolysis water where it reacted with it when I'm pulsing the frequencies out of it. So I was just doing that, just the experiments with it, without the bulb on it. Like I said, you can place your hand on the top of that if you wanted to, because your blood is circulating through your body, and if you by placing, this is another use case. Like I said, just using this as an example, you can do it. You can shock yourself. It really doesn't. If you're having the low frequencies, it doesn't give you that much of a jolt to where it hurts you or burns you. It's like a lower heat on it, so you can safely put your hand right on top of that and just hold it there for a little while, and run the frequency through it, and then your body's, all your blood cells and everything is you're gonna get it. You're gonna technically program.
You're zapped. Yeah.
Yeah. Zap yourself. You zap yourself plenty of times, right, Nathan?
Oh yeah. I know how it feels.
Yeah, but for this, you're not, really zapping yourself or doing any of that stuff like the wands, the wands that they have with the with that on there with the gas on it, where you're zapping yourself and you're getting if you do it wrong, you'll zap yourself. If you put it up yourself first and then turn it on, because of the static electricity, that's what really gets you. That's what that original that zap gets you, just jolt you.
Huh.
Yeah. But if that's the stuff you like, or anybody likes to do that, feel free to do it. I don't particularly care to do it and zap myself like that. It's totally unnecessary. But if that's what you like, then you can do that. It's all good, however you like,
Nice.
But what else we have here? Did I show this one? Yeah, I already showed this one earlier. That's
You showed that one?
with the BG3 on the BG3. There's other people I've studied on the BG3 energy and the shape, and that's another thing that this has to do with the shape. They call it the shape causal wave. So your geometry is going to determine how the wave goes out and propagates out from it. So when you're pulsing the frequency with a sphere on the top of the Tesla coil head, or your example, you're going to get a different frequency wave broadcast out from it. Pretty much that's technically what it's going to do. That's all I see that it's doing is pulsing it out a different wave form frequent, and then you're having everything you put in here inside of it is a frequency with crystals and gemstones, and the metals all have their frequency. So you're just adding a merry mix of frequencies in here, hence multi-wave oscillator. Thank George Lakowski and Nikola Tesla, and all the good ones. There's research that goes with this is Royal Reif, Raymond Reif, and Wilhelm Reich also. And then Dr. Robert Gilbert's a good one to look for the BG3 energies on the energies of the geometry, the biogeometry. And then Thomas Bearden also had some good stuff, I believe, on the biogeometry stuff. He's alerted me to the woodpecker one, the woodpecker signals way back when that I studied this, because it has everything to do with it, the way this is going out with the word they use, scalar and whatnot. Here's another one here's a good one I like to share of a fire that I built, but it goes by the other stuff that Malcolm Bendel is doing, his works. And then also, not sure the name of whoever Malcolm Bendel was using the pyramid part to where the elemental pyramid, and they have this and they show it in the middle of the fire. This was just an example I wanted to use with that goes with that, how it builds out. And then the main thing I see in there was like helium, to where they're burning the stuff in the helium. The helium gas is the one that, you put a helium balloon, that sucker is going to fly up to the atmosphere, and because of the weight, the elemental weights and stuff. So I thought this was a cool picture to show to demonstrate that goes with it with the frequencies, talking about frequencies and stuff, and then how the elemental stuff properties of the gases, the different gases work and everything, and then our elements to where what's below the ground. Below the ground are all our heavy metals are down below us, our feet on the ground, right? And we got to go dig them. We go digging them up out of the ground and using them for whatever purposes, properties, and their frequency properties, and putting them in jewelry like gold. Gold has supposedly a high frequency. And here's the color right there. There's the color of gold, also inside here in this. What I see, I don't know if anybody else could see. How you kind of see stuff in clouds and see stuff in other stuff, like, I don't know what the word is for that, when you kind of see images and stuff like that. This one looks like a guy perched on the top, pulling back on a bow. You see like a little head. It's just maybe imagination, a little bit of it, but it looks like a guy on the top pulling a fire bow back.
He's doing the Hulk Hogan.
Almost right? Yeah, like that. I don't know. It was just an interesting photo that I've taken, and I've caught a lot of wild stuff in some pictures, and I thought that was cool to share because it goes with it goes with this one. It goes with this, and it goes with the Malcolm Bendel stuff in the elemental parts of it. So if you're going to build all this stuff out, say, just an example, you want to build out from the Planck scale or from the nature's materials, and then this shows you pretty much the elemental. What is it? The Walter's. What is that?
Walter Russell.
Name Walter Russell. Yeah, correct. This is his thing here. But if you notice, all the gases that are up on the top on the higher scale, like the fire, just like in the fire, You have the neons, you have the heliums up here, and there's some other ones way up here. Argon, you have the krypton down lower, and then all of these are heavier gases lower down to the earth. So I think just an idea with building these things or whatever you want to build, some graviflyer or the ships or the stuff like that, in the pump waves, the way this thing is pumping and how it builds out, to be able to mix and match these certain metals in voltaic stacks to where maybe you do some electrolysis, say, for example, and mix and match some of these metals in the different stages that they are, to get it to go up higher and build up to a higher level to be able to make it light enough to make a ship out of it, per se, or just examples like that.
Well, harmonics is in layering.
Yeah, the harmonics are all in there. It's just an example and a thought thing going down the rabbit hole of all this and building things. You just go further, deeper and deeper, and once you get all the knowledge and all the pieces together, it all kind of clicks, and then you can build from there. So, yeah, what else we got, Nathan?
Well, I was just going to mention some stuff on this, the on the Russell scale.
Yeah, here, I'll bring it back.
It's the harmonics that you want. So if you notice, they put gases in the beginning because of the amount of electrons that are on something and how they build out. So if you put some metals up there, they put off electrons, and they also put off, ions in there. And then you're going to ionize the air in order to break things apart and put them together. That's kind of the trick here of this whole thing. Ionization is the transformation of all of them, because it removes the electron from the situation temporarily before it puts it back together, so transmutation is possible. But that goes right into what you're saying. When you get the multiple frequencies in there and you want to bend them together, you're going to have to know that. You know what I mean? But you got to look at this a little bit different. Instead of like how it's building out like an S, think of it as circles.
Perspective.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, just like they show a harmonic scale.
You're looking at, picture this scale, but looking at the top of it down from that perspective. Also,
yes,
another way to look at it. Right?
So those are your zones in there, and that's how you start to build things. That's how they hold each other in, because while one goes to the right, one goes counter to it, and it's like a locking mechanism for gas. So it locks one in one, and then it counter rotates and locks the other in it on the opposite way. And that allows you to get everything zoned properly. That's why we say when we do the RAV that it builds all those zones out automatically, because it automatically filters through all of the gases in there and moves them into their correct spot. So as you're sitting on the earth, you go up in the gas zones, they're all structured based on how heavy the gas is. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's exactly how it works.
There. Yeah, it shows it right in the chart. It shows it right in here. That's why I thought that was a good example to share, that goes along with all of this electromagnetism and frequencies and whatnot, and building things.
Mm-hmm.
To build with the elements that we have here and mix and match the elements to where we get the results, and building also the geometry of it. The geometry is very important in the geometry of how you build it. With all this frequency vibration equals energy. So that's where we're getting at. It's getting good now. Everybody I see that's doing awesome works on the internet, Old Man Builds, Bernie, Crypto Alchemist, and all the rest of the people, Faraday Research, are doing really good stuff like that too. So it's getting really good and interesting now to see what's going on with everybody's builds. Like I said, thank you for letting me come and share this the way I'm building these PMF devices and what. I have another one here that I have a piece of I found this battery pack to where I can actually plug this thing in and have it wirelessly, and then just hang it. I can hang this in my home anywhere and direct it at me or outside anywhere. If I want to fire the frequencies out that way, I can do it this way. by hanging that like that on a wireless one. So that's pretty cool there. I thought that was interesting to share that, just a USB battery pack. We have all the battery packs and stuff like that, and putting the right materials inside, to build it, capacitors and whatnot and everything else. I thought about doing a small scale arc and stuff like that, but I don't think that would be very wise to do in my backyard for certain purposes. So I already thought about it plenty of times, and John Hutchison built one, but what I see in that, I've already talked to him a few times through the Bob Greenier's Substack. He'll even talk to you. You can ask him questions on YouTube for some of it. But what I got was when he rebuilt the Ark of the Covenant, he put external power to it. There's one thing that the alchemy inside there was either missing. There's one part missing. Inside was the alchemy, what I believe was inside of it, which is the mana, which is monatomics, which has to do with why and how that thing will build out as a capacitor to build up energy to build the spark.
So it's funny you say that, because Bernie was over here, and Bernie will be back here this week. He was building this stuff, and he put on the voltage to it and got it running, right? And then the next day, he just took the voltage off. And he says, watch, Nathan, I'm just going to leave this alone and watch the next couple of days. It kept running. He set a precondition in that thing with what he used to keep it running by itself. It didn't need external energy. It was still going at the same rate that it was before. So there's a lot to what you're saying right there, because I've seen it myself.
Yep. And it's the shape also, the wheels within wheels, what they call it, Bob Greenier, where it's building out and voltaic stack like. But it has a lot to do with the elements and the right, dielectrics and the elements that are being used inside. There's something missing inside of that arc, is what I'm trying to say. And he built it, and I'm trying to get him to spark and get him to build another one. But like I said, what would be the purpose in that? Because we do have battery packs and stuff and capacitors now in this day and age that are similar to that. But not so much. If you want to get it out of the atmosphere, you want to get it. And he stated himself, it's static electricity. It works on the static. So in the pyramid, it comes down to the pyramid too, because if you read all the text and do a bunch of research, in my research, it shows that Ark of the Covenant was up inside that King's Chamber, sitting up in there, and then around the crystals and the whatnot. Is what was able to broadcast out, like the radio lobe, which is the crystal granite part of it, where it was encased in, or the whatnot, to do the sparks. Anyway, that's just some of the stuff.
So just hold on. Let me say something real quick. If they were having granite tablets, okay, and that's what they used, and were they near Mount Sinai? So you have some kind of a little atomic stuff going on there, right? But just so you know, that anytime you get the granite and you put water into it, that acts as a capacitor. So in that system, they didn't just put the tablets in there, they put a capacitor inside there. So if you got an electrolysis that's already started in there, you put in the granite, it acts like a capacitor. You put the two angels across from each other, you're going to get a dielectric field already. At some point, it's going to spark what you could see as a RAV. Okay? Yep. And well, it's more than a spark gap, because the spark gap is random to each point of it, and they'll come off different things. If they're seeing the face of God in there, you're going to have a coherent structure in there. So you would need a form like the RAV. Now, what's great about that and why it works in this scenario is when you circle the walls of Jericho so many times and you blow the horn, in the device you're using now with the fan, right? It's kind of like the same concept. You're blowing the frequency of the horns, but you're also taking it in how the sound waves come out, right? So it's taking whatever you're putting into it, putting it into that waveform like layers, one on top of the other, one on top of the other, right? until it hits something. So it's like a directed energy hitting it. Okay, and what it's doing is it's saturating and ionizing the air around it on the walls themselves so that they can be broken down in elements as soon as it's hit. So all of it makes sense if you understand the right tools. So, like, for instance, they use the pyramids when lightning hits it, right? And you get telluric currents in the ground. So it hits it and it's filled with water. They have a little thing under it for a little tray, and it basically holds water on the outside walls, so it holds capacitance in it. Most people don't understand this, and I believe Hutchinson did. When you have something like that, you're pulling the energy of the sky down. You're pulling the battery from the earth up, right? And you want to build a capacitor just like Tesla, just like this. The dielectric inside builds a magnetic around it. And as soon as it does that, you have best of both worlds, and now you pull the energy out of the third plate. We watch Inventor 3, who worked with John Hutchinson, do the exact same process when he was on the show. He was showing the same thing. You bring the two fields together, and you put the center one in that pulls out the energy. Boom. Genius. You have energy all day long.
It's a pinching effect in a way, too, also, then. That goes with Bedini stuff, with the pinching.
Oh, yeah.
And
so I don't think a lot of people understand all that, why you put a battery in the system. We got to understand what a battery is. It's plates put together, you know what I mean, next to each other really close that build a dielectric between them. But the dielectric builds out to the magnetic. So that's why you get a lot of amperage in your battery. Well, it's a conversion. You're taking all of the dielectric energy, so basically all the high voltage and the low amperage, and you're putting it in there, creating the field between them. That creates a magnetic field between the entire thing that goes out the other side, so it's a natural conversion. So you can run dead batteries as long as you didn't break the plates in the dielectric. That's why it works in those systems and all the Bedini and pulse motors and stuff like that. It's a trick. It's making you understand batteries on their level, not just how to plug in a battery.
Awesome. One thing I would like to add on the pyramid part.
Go ahead.
How they built the structure and why they built it so big. It's to bring the ground level up. Once you bring the ground level up, also you're bringing the ground level up now to that point, to that 0 point.
Yes, you are.
Pyramid. That's one little thing that I'd like to add to that I had my own realization while doing my own researches on it. Yeah.
Well,
I think that's a big factor.
Think about this. Every time you put an antenna up, right, you get all of this natural voltage that comes onto the antenna. Because as soon as you go up for every meter, it's 100 volts or something like that. And you get way up there, so any skyscraper stuff, it automatically has energy running through it all the way to the ground every time. If you simply put a capacitor in between it like Tesla did, you can pull the energy out without even having to do anything. Now, but when you get lightning strikes, then you could get tons of it. But if you run it to the ground, you get telluric currents. They learned this in the St. Louis Arch. They had a bunch of weather patterns come through. They put up the arch, and it dissipated the weather patterns in the area, so it no longer had that same problem. You see, not everything's just grounding. There's energy in all of it. And all they simply did was tap it. Like, you could take the Tesla Tower and not even put any of the components in it like everybody gets crazy and stupid about, and just use it as an antenna, and you can literally ground one part to the ground and use water, and then you could just put the antenna in the sky and pull it out as a capacitor. You have energy all day long for free. So think about it. When you say there's thousands of pyramids around the world, well, guess what? They had an electrical grid all around the world.
Yep.
It's just not in the type of energy you would normally understand. It's like when you put the energy into the water, it structures the water or deconstructs the water depending on which part of radiation you're using. Then you have energy everywhere. It actually, if you're using the negative radiation, which is a good one, your plants will grow faster, bigger, stronger, all those things because you're opening up the veins within it. If you use the hot side, you'll just kill everything. Plasma Channel found that out when he tried to pull energy from the atmosphere, and some of his plants were dying. Well, yeah, because you're using the hot side of radiation there, buddy.
I can tell you, I have a tree outside that's in between my smart meter and a cell tower, a visual of a cell tower. And on one side of my house where the smart meter is, the tree just died. My other tree on the other side of the house is fine. It's being hit with frequencies that we can't see, communicating with the cell tower in the smart meter.
Hmm.
Just a just something to add.
They put in that 5G is a pretty powerful wave, man.
That's
Yeah.
why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, and why I have an idea and how to use these devices for protection purposes, for pulsing out my own frequencies and making my own sort of like a force field, a bubble around my home, where if it works that way, and great,
Hey, not at all.
great.
Yeah.
More tests need to be done, of course, to make it see if that's the truth of what's going on. But I believe that's what it is. What's the scale of it?
Well, it's kind of crazy that energy. I would take a 12-foot by 12-foot pond in my backyard is what I built, and I just dropped the wire in there from the center of the coil, and anywhere around the pond you see the lights light up. You can walk around like a cane, and then the crazier thing is, man, you just take off your shoes and walk right through it, and put the light bulb in the water; it'll still light up. You got to remember when you do that kind of stuff, it's water. Water goes through everything and communicates with everything. So it's a natural medium for energy to transfer in. If you get my drift without me having to say it, because YouTube won't let me, but that's the natural medium for it to happen in. So a mud bath, yeah, there's some understanding to that if you understand it. It's the same reason if you put the wire from the Tesla coil into the mud, you could literally walk over and put a plug into it and turn on a light bulb. And I've done it many times. It trips people out, man.
Yep. Thanks to Nikola Tesla. Thank you, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. Total genius.
We had a lot of great people that came before us. Hey, you got to keep it going. You keep it going and keep building and experimenting, and then to get the results you want to have. Everybody's got pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, I agree.
Mix and match and put them all together, and bam.
Well, what's cool is when you put multiple systems together and see if they work.
Yep. Yeah.
I love doing that and to see why they're working, and then different materials and what they're doing to the project. Like we used Mike Faraday pointed this out, and I had done it on my gravity flyer before. The piezo disc, because it's barium titanate, is a fast fill, fast release capacitor. It doesn't have to work as a drum. You know what I mean? You don't need sound out of it. You can work it as a capacitor. So the advantage of that in a system that spikes in a Bedini machine or a pulse motor is that it fills the capacitance up and then dumps it quickly. But then you put another one in, so you're increasing the speed of it, so that when you get to a regular capacitor, it fills twice as fast as it normally should. You know what I mean? So that's incredible. And it also gets you a higher spike level in order to get your AC to turn on the light bulb. It's fantastic to learn that kind of stuff.
That's both worlds. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
See? All we need is people to do their own research and do their own experiments and keep doing it, and showing. And then you can come up and build what you like to build,
Yeah.
That's what you want to build, your own spaceship or whatnot, or whatever you want to build. Or what I'm doing, just pulsing the frequencies out for protection and whatnot, to have positive results. Custom frequencies, for multiple purposes. Multiple, there's not just one purpose of this. Anybody can use it for multiple things.
Well, if you take a piezoelectric disc and you put a piece of crystal on it, right, you can scroll through the frequencies, and then when it reaches the frequency that side is at, the thing will start shaking on there. Okay, because you're bouncing it back and forth with the sound itself. And it's funny how that works. So you think about it, each side of it, when you turn it, though, has a different frequency to it. And it has to do with how the geometric pattern builds out. and the frequencies themselves. So when you see Hutchinson hitting that dial when he's on that lake, that's what he's doing right there. It's a combination pattern. Boom, 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 boom. But that's how your crystal's working. They're running one across from the other, back and forth, and turning it on. So if you take some crystal and put it in water, and then you simply go in there and hook your oscilloscope to the water, you're going to find a frequency, a voltage, and an amperage coming from it, because water is the medium that penetrates it. So, it should tell you something when people say that stuff affects you. Well, yeah, it does. But if you know how to amplify it, you can find everything in there, along with the frequencies of it, how much energy it puts out, everything.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get. I got one of these other ones here.
Oh, yeah.
The other frequency analyzer. So that's the frequencies that's going right now around me, all those frequencies. But then you'll see the spikes. When you see the spikes, you can go in here and I can plug headphones onto it and listen to that frequency. And some of them will be the FM and AM radio bands. They'll be that you can pick up. The ones that are spiking right now are probably a radio tower frequency. This one, that's why I purchased one of these, to be able to do tests on my device, which, like I said earlier, I think I mentioned, it's not supposed to pick up electromagnetic frequencies. This is picking up sound frequencies, but I do believe it does. It does pick it up in a sense. You just have to look at it the right way. The way
Gotcha.
it's picking it up. Radio waves, radio frequencies, EMFs and RFs and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's all frequencies flying around in our face right now. Coming out of the screen, and the colors, all the colors and the frequencies and everything being broadcast out. So this is where I'm at right now in this, building this. I'm on the dual harmonics using the 2 coils now. And then it'll probably go to 3 and 4 and 5 after that. Who knows? I don't know. It'll keep going, because I'm only going to keep building more and bigger and better and improving on it.
Very cool.
My goal to teach how I'm using it and teach how to build it. Free source. I'm not selling anything or doing anything like that. That's not the way I want to make my money that way. So even though, you could probably use this as an accessory and get with an Orgonite company or something like that, it could be an idea to give them the plans of this and have them build it. But, that's all stuff in the future, for the future. For my goal is just to share it and share examples of how to use this and how to build it and how to use it and whatnot to pulse your own frequencies out for whatever purpose you may have to use it with. With the biogeometry or whatever else you would like to use it. That's pretty much mainly my goal. Like I said, appreciate you having me on to share this with your audience and everybody else, so they can see this and the rest of your great works that you're doing, that you guys are doing.
Right on, brother. I appreciate you coming in and sharing it with us, man. Everybody likes this stuff.
Yeah. It's very fascinating. I've been fascinated with the pyramids and finding out and researching how they work for a good amount of time now, and it seems like everybody wants to know the truths of how things really work and everything, and some people want to hide it from everybody and keep it to themselves and all that good stuff. And this is for everybody to enjoy and do things and build and be able to build and use what nature's given us.
Absolutely. Open source. I do the same thing, man. I build the Tesla coils for people who, don't have the ability to do it with the machines they have, right? But then I tell you exactly how to do it. So if you have everything, not a problem. You just go on there and, you just take the instructions and you do it. So pretty much the same way for you, right? You give a bunch of instructions. They're able to follow it, do whatever they want, put whatever they want into it. That's cool, man. I love open source.
Yep. Yeah, that's the best way I can think to share this, to be able to do that way. I thought about it. Believe me, I've thought about it plenty. A lot of thinking goes in before doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to shout out Traveling Fools real quick. We'll be back here for Friday on the show. We took off this last Friday. And then also Joe and I have Plasma Unleashed. And have you ever seen any of the Plasma Unleashed that we done with the RAV?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've seen most of them.
So Joe is directing this whole episode. Okay.
Nice.
And Joe masterminded the way he does it, and he formatted it differently, everything. I just got to say, man, I am thoroughly impressed in what he did, and everybody's going to love it. And he gets into some real technical detail on some of it, keeps it light on the others, but it's thoroughly entertaining, man. Different, little more AI into it than I ever do, but it's really cool.
Yeah, the AI is a good tool to demonstrate stuff like that. You know, a lot of people don't enjoy the AI, but I like it for visual stuff. Is great. You know, using AI in that way, in that sense, to display something like that is awesome. You know, doing it in the right way. It's awesome.
Yeah, I had someone ask me a question. So it had to do with Jack Staffardi. And Jack Staffardi, I don't know if you know who that is. He's on APAC.
I'm not familiar with that one though.
Okay, he said basically he has anti-gravity now, is what he's saying. And I was laughing, right? And here's why. I'll just explain this. If you're using big G in your math, right? And it means it's a gravitational constant. It means that you believe that gravity is a basically, how do I want to say this? It's a fundamental force in nature, right? And it's emergent based on your field. So as soon as he puts in the wrong math right there, he failed. And because gravity is how you build anti-gravity, because it's not technically anti-gravity, it's building gravity. And it goes back to the Russell scale. We talk about compressed gas, right? This is what I try to get across to people, and they don't understand. There's already anti-gravity out there on the internet. And it's very simple. You're ionizing the inside gas in order to get rid of the impurities, in order to make three simple fields out of it: a center core, two outer cores, counter-rotational in nature, and they compress. How much they compress is how much anti-gravity you have and how much inertial mass reduction you have in your craft. So just so we all understand each other, and people say, well, what about the geometry of the craft and the gravity flyer? I go, well, then you don't understand the Earth properly. The top of the Earth rotates one way. The bottom rotates the other. You have a center divider as the equator, right? But that's exactly what's going on here. And what happens to the air on the bottom, it goes like this. And the air on the top goes like this, right? But then in that, they build the resonance itself. So this is where the Russell scale comes in. The resonance sets the outside field in the bubbles themselves. That's why when I tell people Sean's is 94, 98, and then 102 kilohertz, it's massively important to understand that, because it's a harmonic frequency that builds out between resonance and layers, and it gives you the actual distance you need between them in order to get the compression right. It eliminates all the gases except for the gases that fit in there based on how much they weigh, okay? That's massively important to anti-gravity. Jack has none of that in his whole thing, right? I know he doesn't have it, okay? Because he doesn't understand what gravity is. He uses a big G. I have things in here, man. I built a year and a half ago. I built the field around the gravity flyer, and I already figured out the fields on it. I have the thing inertial mass reduction to 0 on a scale.
Nice.
When I put it on a scale and it's running, it will read 0. It'll start out at 3 pounds, end up at 0. Okay? It goes up on one leg. It does everything that you want it to do. I can run energy in it for almost a minute before it stops having energy in it after the power is turned off. Everything about this is almost right. Lightspeed's giving me the ability to see where the fields are so that I can get those zones into laminar flow by compression. And as soon as I do that, my day is over. I'm done building this thing. I have it all mastered except for that. And that's how that little fine tuning of all those little sensors around there gives you the picture of what you need. So for those of you asking out there on that thing, one, Jack Staffardi doesn't have it, and he's far from it. They doesn't even understand the atomic structure in the center and how it builds out the fields and harmonics that they've been telling you through history forever. Okay. Number two, when it comes to that gravity flower, I'm way far ahead of anybody else that's ever worked on it, except for the original creator, and I'm almost done.
Awesome. Yeah, that brings in the yin yang also too on there. Yeah, the forces, the positives and the negatives going against each other. It all comes down to that too. Yin yang, negative, positives.
It's an energy exchange in light. That's the yin yang. It's an energy exchange in light to plasma. It clearly shows it in the Rav experiment. You have the dark side over here and the light side over here, and they're exchanging, and that's what's giving you your sheath zones in the center on the plasma side. You know what I mean? Where it brings out the light, and then over here it's the dark. So they're exchanging energy, but the energy between them is not the same. You know what I mean? It's exchanging it in the layers of it. So you have a figure eight that builds in between it, and then in between it runs. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it shows you the answer. That Rav experiment literally shows you everything in nature you ever wanted to see.
I agree.
Right on, brother. You got anything to plug or anything you want to talk about?
That I probably much spit it all out. What I had to share on the Orgonites and how I'm using them and where I'm going on the next step of experimenting. There is one more picture I wanted to show, and it has a lot to do with the Rav, and I don't know. Here it is. I'm going to close with this, Nathan.
Okay.
I'm going to show you this, that I came up with this realization after looking at it. But tell me if you see the same thing. In this right here, can you see the Rav in the center of that eyeball?
Yeah, it's right there.
The Rav builds out, and you see the concentric circles around this, and then all inside, even the pyramid, and then the light rays emanating out from the pyramid that seems to be levitating on top of the other pyramid structure.
That's beautiful.
I don't know if anybody's ever came out with this, but it's sitting right in front of everybody's eyes every day that uses the dollar bill or wherever they have, which is mainly where this is, sitting right on the dollar bill in everybody's faces. Right? You know what I mean? To me, it's like something that's like hidden in plain sight.
Okay, zoom in on the eyeball real quick. Joe, look at that.
I don't know if anybody's ever mentioned that at all or anything, but I saw it one day and I said, man, this is the same thing as looking at the Rav. This is the build out. This is the build out. This is the kind of like the secret stuff that they like to keep secret, which is not secret at all. It's out in front of everybody's faces, right for everybody to see, right? With the big eye staring right at you. You know what I mean?
It is. The exact same too.
That I had a realization of, alpha.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. When we see the other image, okay, it's a reflection of the Rav itself. It's a mirror to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it builds out in green in the center and pink on the outside. So if you look at the eyeball itself, you got the center, right?
Yep.
And then from that, you have two rings that are darker on this image right here. Those are your green rings. And on the outside, the two lighter ones, those are your pink rings that you see right there. Just in the eyeball itself, it's the exact number of rings. They had it down to a T.
You see it, right? You see it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm showing it right here in front, and everybody sees it mostly. And you have no, you know what I mean? It's like, here I am, right there in front of everybody's face.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad you showed that to us. That's amazing.
You asked me if I had anything else, and I said, yeah, I do have. This is what I got, something else that I thought we were sharing. Anyway, right?
Right on, brother. I want to thank you, Christopher, for coming in here and hanging out with us, man, and showing us all this stuff, brother.
Yeah, man. Everybody's got pieces of the puzzle, and then when you put them all together, you got a hell of a building team,
Oh, yeah.
With Joe's stuff that he's got, he thinks outside the box, and everybody, building and experimenting. So keep on keeping on, you know.
Yeah,
And keep doing my experiments and whatever I find and that I can share that's worth. Oh, one more thing.
oh, go for it.
When I did my presentation the other day for Steve's place on Tesla Tech, I had. Let me see if I can show it. I placed my neon ampule on top of the coil, and then when I got real close to it, let's see if I can lighten up right there. All right, so when this is lighting up on there, when I got really close to it and I turned the frequencies up on that, I want to fire it up right now.
Oh, look at that. That's super bright.
That's full blast right now on the frequencies there. But when I add the Bluetooth and connect to the frequency generator, you can make that go even higher with the frequencies pulsed into it also on top of that. So when I fired this up and I went over there and looked at it with my naked eye, even with my glasses, I could see it. There's a honeycomb structure in their lattice that you can see inside the plasma in the neon. And then it was green. It was dark green, like a dark green color. But if I turn it up and down a little bit, it's changing all sorts of colors inside of that neon. But the main thing that I saw that I noticed, which caught my eye, was the honeycomb structured lattice structure inside there. You could see it. So put that, have one yourself, a neon ampule or anything with the neon gas in it, and put it on that bifiller coil. You're probably going to see that yourself also. But I just thought that was very interesting.
If you can get a picture of that and post it on your page, man, that'd be awesome.
I want to see if it'll show in the camera. I can see it with my naked eyes, but I don't know when you do the camera on it if it's going to show it. And I'll try it. I will try to take a picture of it and see if it actually shows a visual of it, because that would be awesome. It's something. There's something there with the frequency going on, with the lattice. Yeah, beautiful.
Joe wanted to show you the alpha and omega.
Joe's work, right? Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, Joe. Yeah, that's this neon, but when you look at it and I get up real close to it, it looks like a neon green instead of the neon color. It's inside of there, that lattice structure of the honeycomb structure. That geometry, like a graphene, looks like graphene almost, I want to say, or a honeycomb from bee's honeycomb. That's exactly what it looked like when I just happened to notice that, and I think that's worth sharing for whatever purposes. It's all worth sharing, Anything that anybody has any realizations of and whatnot that could help others find whatever they're looking for in their research and whatnot, stuff like that.
Right on, brother.
Yep.
Right on. All right, brother. I'm going to hit the end thing right now. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us in chat today, man. Chris, thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Nathan, very much.
All right, everybody. Have a great night.
Peace out.
The old man built. The old man built. The old man built. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put them in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has them forcing the world to understand its premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.